Reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species are considered as one of the most common causes of cellular aging. And in pathology, they are also referred to as free radicals. However, in chemistry, there is a clear difference between free radicals and reactive species. Because reactive species are basically a vague terminology. Reactive oxygen species are oxygen containing molecules that are highly reactive. Reactive nitrogen species are nitrogen containing molecules that are highly reactive. Highly reactive is the key here. Highly reactive. That means they are going to go and react with the plasma membrane of the cell, with the protein present inside the cell, and with the nucleic acid, that is the DNA present inside the nucleus of the cell. And do what? Magnify them? No, they are going to go and destroy the plasma membrane, destroy the protein, and destroy the DNA of the cell and cause cellular aging. What about free radicals? Free radicals are also reactive. They also go and react with the plasma membrane, protein, and DNA. But the reason behind this reactive nature is the presence of unpaired electron. You don't really need to know this concept, but what you really need to remember are the important reactive oxygen and nitrogen species. Starting off with reactive oxygen species. Three important reactive oxygen species are superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl. All three of them are reactive oxygen species, but only two of them contain dot at the top. This dot is representing that unpaired electron present. That is why these two are free radicals. Hydrogen peroxide, on the other hand, is not a free radical, but it is highly reactive because it can give rise to other free radicals like hydroxyl. Second, reactive nitrogen species. We have nitric oxide, we have peroxynitrate, and then we have nitrous acid. All three of them are reactive nitrogen species, but only nitric oxide has that dot at the top representing the unpaired electron. So only nitric oxide is the free radical. The rest of them are reactive in nature, that is, they can give rise to other nitrogen containing free radicals. All right. Now, in between reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species, reactive oxygen species are more significant. That is because reactive nitrogen species are formed mainly only in three specific cells, and they can be remembered with the help of mnemonic at the red MEN. Yep, that's the mnemonic, MEN. M-E-N. So M is for macrophage, E is for endothelial cell, and N is for neuron. So in macrophage, endothelial cell, and neuron plus some other cells, reactive nitrogen species are formed. But almost all the time in all the cell, reactive oxygen species are formed. That is why I'm going to emphasize this lecture more on reactive oxygen species rather than reactive nitrogen species. So let's see how reactive oxygen species are formed in the cell and then how they end up damaging the cell. All right. Reactive oxygen species are formed from what? I mean, the name says itself, it is formed from oxygen, and our cell, they contain oxygen. The oxygen within the cell is under the stress of various environmental factors like toxins, chemicals, radiation. From the time we are born till now, our cell, our body has been under continuous stress by toxins, chemicals, pollution, radiation. All of that goes and affect where? Goes and affect inside our cell. Also reperfusion. Reperfusion injury also is associated with reactive oxygen species. What is reperfusion? First, perfusion refers to blood flow, supply of blood to tissue. Let's say you have a tissue here to which there's a certain blood flowing. All of a sudden, this blood flow is restricted. There is obstruction in the blood flow. As a result, the tissue goes through ischemia. That is, the perfusion is stopped. So there is ischemia. Now let's say the blood flow returns back. That is, there is a return of the perfusion and the ischemia is no longer there. This is referred to as reperfusion. That is, there is a return of the blood flow to the previously present ischemic tissue. Again, the return of the blood flow to the previously present ischemic tissue. Now, due to all these reasons, the oxygen inside the cell is converted to the very first reactive oxygen species, and that is superoxide. The superoxide is then converted to hydrogen peroxide via superoxide dismutase. Hydrogen peroxide is then converted to hydroxyl. The conversion of hydrogen peroxide to hydroxyl is mediated by transition metals like iron and copper. The reason being, iron and copper has a variable oxidation state. So if in this arrow reduction is taking place, iron and copper can go through oxidation easily. They can easily increase their oxidation number. Transition metal, they have variable oxidation state. You know that from your chemistry. Already, even if you don't know, just mock up this much. So in this reaction, the ferrous form of iron, that is Fe2 plus, is converted to ferric form of iron, that is Fe3 plus. And this particular reaction is called Fenton's reaction. I mean, the reaction has Fe in the name itself, so it is gonna have iron in it, Fe in it. With that, there is formation of all three major reactive oxygen species. They are superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, hydrogen peroxide and hydroxyl. Out of all three, the most important or the most significant one is hydroxyl. Most important, that means the most potent cell, I say. The most potent reactive oxygen species is hydroxyl. Now, what will these reactive oxygen species do? They will react with the cell and destroy them. What are the three components of the cell they end up damaging? They damage the membrane. There is membrane damage. They damage the protein. There is protein damage. And they damage the DNA. So there is DNA damage, as I said earlier. What type of damage? That also you need to know. The membrane contains lipid, and these reactive oxygen species, they bring about lipid peroxidation. The protein, they get denaturated and misfolded. So you get misfolded protein. DNA, when DNA gets damaged, it leads to various types of mutations. And all these injuries taking place within the cell is what we refer to as oxidative stress, because the stress on the cell is as a result of reactive oxygen species. So oxidative stress. Okay. Now let's say reactive oxygen species, they keep on accumulating within the cell. What will happen? The cell will continuously go through injury. The membrane is going to get damaged, the protein is going to get damaged, DNA is going to get damaged, the cell is going to get old, it is going to die, all of your cells are going to die, you are going to get old, and you are going to die. So what is it that prevents death and aging of the cell? What is it that protects us from reactive oxygen species? They are none other than antioxidants. And there are two types of antioxidants. Exogenous antioxidants, which we get from diet, and endogenous antioxidants, which are already present within our body. So they are present inside our body. The exogenous antioxidants include vitamin ACE, zinc, flavonoids, ascorbic acid, phytochemicals. There are many more. You can search in Google yourself. There are many more. And guess where you can get all these from? Fruits. That is why if you want to stay healthier and younger, you should eat a lot of fruits. because they contain antioxidants. Antioxidants, they fight against reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species are responsible for aging of the cell. So if there is no reactive oxygen species, aging of the cell does not take place and you stay younger. All right, what about endogenous? So endogenously, number one, you have enzymes. Let me write the three major reactive oxygen species again. So there was superoxide, which got converted into hydrogen peroxide, which then got converted into hydroxyl, the most potent one. All three reactive oxygen species are broken down by three different enzymes. Number one, superoxide dismutase breaks down superoxide. Catalase, okay, let me draw the line more straight. Catalase breaks down hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. And the third enzyme, it breaks down both hydrogen peroxide and hydroxyl, and that is glutathione peroxidase. Glutathione peroxidase into water and oxygen. So remember, superoxide is broken down by superoxide dismutase. Hydrogen peroxide is broken down by catalase. Hydrogen peroxide as well as hydroxyl is broken down by glutathione peroxidase. That's the first, but little bit about superoxide dismutase. Superoxide dismutase. Within your cell, you have two types of superoxide dismutase. Number one, manganese containing superoxide dismutase, and number two, copper containing superoxide dismutase. The manganese containing superoxide dismutase is present in mitochondria, while copper containing superoxide dismutase is present in cytoplasm. I mean, it's pretty clear from the type of color I've used here, right? M for M and C for C. All right. The second way to prevent reactive oxygen species is actually very clever. It's quite clever from our body's part. It's by keeping busy iron and copper. If the iron and copper in our body is busy, it is not going to get involved in the process of formation of reactive oxygen species. If the iron and copper involved in the process of reactive oxygen species are busy somewhere else in the body, reactive oxygen species will not be formed. So that's the point. We keep them busy. How? With the help of glycoproteins. With the help of glycoproteins. Glycoproteins like transferrin, lactoferrin, ferritin, and ceruloplasmin. Transferrin transports iron. Lactoferrin transports iron. Ferritin stores iron. Ceruloplasmin transports copper. So if iron and copper are busy getting transported and stored, obviously they are not going to go and take part in the reaction for the formation of free reactive oxygen species. In this way, we are preventing the involvement of iron and copper and in turn reducing the formation of reactive oxygen species. And this is how antioxidants, they help us prevent ourselves from injury by reactive oxygen species or free radical injury.